Hello, Divine Souls! So happy to be here with you. I'm going to crank a tune to get started.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. No, you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. No, you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy. Then no mistakes are gone. I won't do that no more. There's old news, there's news. I done did that before. I turn nothing to something. My comeback on 100. Let's talk it, more action. You just gon' see coming. I just keep elevating. No losses, just upgrading. My lessons made blessings. I turn that into money. They gotta never settle. This beat is so much better. I'm chilling, I'm winning, like on another level. Oh, you can talk all you want. See me as a prey, but nothing I'm afraid of, and I can have it all. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. No, you want this yummy, yummy all in your tongue.
Oh my God, I'm actually really tired, and that's not even proper dancing, it's just chair dancing. Hey, gorgeous Jen, how are you? It's actually a dress, but thank you. I'm very excited to fit back into it. So I thought I would bring my fun frock to this Q&A because this whole conversation is about dating feeling like a chore, like just something that you've got to do, and it shouldn't. Aloha, Lucy. Funny that I've had this song in my head all week. Have you? Good, Alana, on the same page when we're in the vortex. Alana's doing Soul to Soul right now. She's from Australia. You are such a hoot. Seriously, you crack me up. Who says hoot? Like, that's such a mum word. Well, I'm a mum now, so I guess that makes sense. All right, Divine Ones, how are we going? Before I dive in today, I would love to hear from you. How have you been feeling during this massive level up, hence my song, over the past 3 eclipses? I've definitely been checking in with people in my community, my friends, and it's definitely not been a straight trajectory. It's like boop, 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 boop. And today a lot of people are sort of almost feeling the aftermath, like extra tender, extra vulnerable. And it's no coincidence that I'm actually in that very chapter in my book that it's about to come out, actually this week. You can pre-order it. Woohoo! And I'm talking about vulnerability. And it's always interesting when I'm editing that it ends up coming up in real time. And I found myself just before this Q&A I burst out crying. I heard of, I don't know this person, but this Broadway star who actually lost his battle with COVID. And, you know, he's got a wife and they have a new baby. And I just saw her going live today, and it happened yesterday. And I was just bawling. I was like, oh my God, the fact that she's even showing up with all this energy that she had, I was just blown away. So, really allow your vulnerability, whatever is on your heart right now, to come through, release it, cry. We really are up leveling in a massive, massive way right now. So it's definitely really, really key that you are holding yourself, you know, and loving yourself and just giving yourself the space to feel and to breathe, because we are going through massive ascension. And look, that's for another conversation. It's not what today's live is about, but I felt really called to just, you know, to have this chat with you up front because, yay, Jen, because there are lots of symptoms that go with ascending, you know, it's a lot. And, you know, being irritable, being extra sensitive, just feeling anxiety. Like if you've got anything that's been coming up really strong in the past few days, just know that it really is the ascension that we're all going through right now. So let me dive into today's juicy Q&A. Super excited. I'm just going to stay on point here. I've written just a couple of notes today. There's not really too many that I have to write to keep myself on point today because it's really straightforward. But here's what I wrote down in the invitation. You're going on first date after first date, but they aren't ever going beyond just being that first date. And after another first date, not becoming a second, you start to tell yourself that, oh my God, this is just the chore of modern dating. This is just what it is. And that's actually what you're sitting in, is just this really low vibe expectation that dating isn't fun, there are no good guys left, you know, why does it have to be this hard? And first of all, I'm here to tell you that you attracting in your soulmate should not feel like a chore. And I'm also here to celebrate that I've got many clients right now meeting the love of their life during COVID. Okay, so I want that to really inspire you and to penetrate deep into your cells, that no matter what's going on in the world around you, you've got a choice whether you want to just, you know, bow down to suffering and just going, oh, well, this is just what it is, and dating sucks, and now there's COVID, and now there's this, and now there's that, and getting caught up in the rubble, right, in the drama, or actually going, that's not the story that I'm telling right now. It's 2020, and I am going to call in the love of my life. But you also have to back that up with commitment, and you got to back it up with getting, you know, a mentor and a support team to actually help you through it to get there faster, right? That's just the bottom line. So I thought what I would do is I would just actually go back to, God, when I used to date. At first, I remember when I first moved to New York, I didn't date seriously for, it sounds crazy, but like 2 years. I just threw myself into my career. I wasn't interested. I'd been, you know, doing lots of, you know, not lots. I had, you know, a couple of flings in Australia before I left. And I was just in that flinging zone, like non-committal. It was fun. I say fun because, yes, elements of it were fun, but it wasn't. It wasn't fun not knowing where I stood. It wasn't fun not having someone celebrating me and being, you know, being consistent with showing up for me and messaging me. It was me just really living in this like la la land of non-committal zone with nothing at stake. And it was very, very safe, but it was certainly not gratifying. And yeah, I just remember, if I click back to that, I just remember that deep down when I plug into the Lucy back then, I don't even know why I bothered dating, to be honest with you, because my deepest belief was that love didn't happen for me. Who can relate to that? I was honestly really going to all these weddings. I was either being the bridesmaid, the singer, or the MC, and I loved having my role to play, but I never saw myself as the bride, you know, and it's just, right now, it's perplexing to me to think that that's where I was living from, but it was. I was the fun girl, you know, and I was always just putting on the jazz hands and rocking up with my latest dress on and just kind of going through the motions, drinking far too much wine and leaving Lucy at the door on my way in, or just park her, and then I'd go to the party and just slowly get wasted. And God, it was like totally trashing myself, really. Obviously, I was getting trashed with the alcohol, but it was actually trashing myself. Not having my own back. Not actually holding myself to my highest and going, oh my God, of course I'm going to attract my soulmate. So I just want you to really tune into right now. Obviously, you're probably not doing a lot of physical dating, but I'm sure that you're online and it might be feeling a little like Groundhog Day for you. And truly, you don't want to ever date when you're in that energy. And the first thing I'm going to say to you is you got to just put the brakes on for a minute and check in with yourself. Because if you're not flying high on the love for yourself and you're not sitting there really deeply feeling worthy, you are wasting your time. You are better off watching Sex and the City reruns or having a bath with rose petals and a book. Who has bath with rose petals? I have had one with rose petals, but it's not like an everyday thing. But yeah, man, you're a queen. Get some rose petals to put in your bath. And you're better off doing that, because everything comes down to alignment. And if you're not actually reveling in your own life right now and on your path, I'm not saying you've got to be all the way down your path. You do not have to be established in what you do, but on your path, which means following your heart, living your passions, doing what lights you up. If you're not giving that gift to yourself, to put yourself first and to check in, hey, what makes me feel good? Awesome, Rebecca, of course you do. You know, then why would you expect someone else to show up for you? So many of you are actually going through the motions and you're dating from your head and you're just doing it as another checkbox. I've got to get the man. And then I can be happy, and then I can start the family, or then I can be part of the group, which, you know, I get the invitation for me and my plus one. That is not the reason to call in your soulmate. And plus, you're not going to be able to call in your soulmate when you're coming from this autopilot energy. It's not attractive, it's not magnetic, and you're out of alignment with the most important woman in your life, which is you. You've got to know what turns you on. You've got to know what feels really good for you. And if you're putting all of your worthiness outside of you onto this soulmate relationship, that's the first place that you're going wrong, my love. And it's a universal thing. And I did it for years. Okay. So I'm just outing myself that was honestly how I used to live. I wasn't instead looking at the other elements of my life. I was just like, oh yeah, I've got a good job. I'm happy. Bullshit. I wasn't happy. I was actually depressed and so out of alignment. And I was hiding and I was freaking numbing with alcohol and distracting myself. It wasn't the law of attraction. It was the law of distraction, keeping myself preoccupied, keeping myself out of my greatness, out of my light, out of my true path, my calling. And that's what many of you are doing right now. Honestly, I have so many women come through Soul to Soul that will say, Lucy, it's just the guy. That's the only thing that's wrong with my life right now. And I'm like, yeah, that's not true. Because if you were really fulfilled and lit up by yourself from your own energy and from what you're doing with your life, you can't help but attract that person in because you're open to receiving. You're alive, you're vital, you're present. When we're happy, we're really present. When we're unhappy, we start to withdraw our energy, we disconnect, we dissociate, we hold ourselves back. Can you see that? So that is literally what you're taking into dating online. It's like, hey, where's a guy with no heart? Oh, here he is, and I've got no heart, so let's date together. And you're both dating with your backs to each other. I don't mean physically you're going high like that, no, but you're literally coming in like that instead of like this. Hi, got my heart open. Oh, hi, so do I. Oh, hello. Look at that. That is epic. That is not. But you can't be putting it out there going, oh, dating sucks, or it's just hard during COVID, or it's the guys, or that's just you doing that to yourself. Dating's fucking epic. And online just happens to be a platform. Now, on my masterclass, I say get offline and go inline. And I mean that. But then once I get women into their heart space, I'm like, sister, eat up online. It doesn't really matter how you meet someone. Online is just a portal. There's nothing wrong with online. It's the energy that you're bringing to it that is the issue. Does that make sense? So next time you go to write off online or I can't go out because of COVID, that's you getting in the way of love. Because like I said, there are plenty of women that I'm coaching right now that are landing the most phenomenal relationships of their entire life. Isn't that epic? And that can be you. But you got to pull your finger out of your butt, your beautiful, perky bottom or voluptuous bottom, whichever bottom you have. It's perfect. And you got to get serious and you got to get out of that cerebral autopilot, just speaking about dating and doing dating instead of actually being in the game of dating, the land of dating, the world of dating. So any questions from you, I would love to hear it because this is going to be a short Q&A. What I can say is that what's also missing from this conversation between you and your dating life is the V word, and I don't mean vagina. Vulnerability. Well, yeah, vagina vibes as well, but vulnerability. It's definitely missing. For you to really bring yourself in, to actually really let someone see you. And you can be really vulnerable during COVID. You can do FaceTimes and Zooms and let that person really see you. You can be super vulnerable. You don't have to physically be in person to be vulnerable. Being vulnerable looks like, letting someone into your world. I had a beautiful queen recently share that she was bawling her eyes out on a date recently. Yeah. And she's like, oh my God, he brought me to my knees. I was crying. I was like, yes, sister, that's vulnerability. You were letting him in. And it's going to feel risky. Yes, it takes courage to be vulnerable, but you're alive when you're being vulnerable. You're walking around as a dead person when you are leaving your vulnerability at the door. You are just going through the motions. You're just a talking head. No one wants to date a talking head. You don't want to date a talking head, but they don't want to date you when you're just sitting there from living from here to here instead of from here down. So don't even bother wasting your time getting online until you're actually feeling the love for yourself, until you're actually fully accepting yourself for everything that you are and everything that you're not. And if you've got shit, sister, because we all do, then deal with it. Don't keep burying it. Don't keep numbing it. Don't keep hiding from it and presenting your best self to a guy, because no one wants your best self. They want all of you. And let me tell you something, when it came to me actually getting my mojo plugged back in and my heart open, thank God, because I was so full of shit. I used to think I was so authentic and so open-hearted, and, you know, because I am someone that's very emotional, I was like, I just wear my heart on my sleeve. I can't help but be vulnerable, but I wasn't. I had total disbelief that I could attract my soulmate, so I was actually coming from neediness, and that's you right now. So you got to get honest with yourself and do the work to get your heart open so you can bring all of yourself in. Because when I actually took myself offline to go inline, which is exactly what I teach, I came home to the magic of who I am. And when I went back to putting myself out there and dating, it was a completely different arena. And I did. I attracted the first guy that when I put myself back out there, is now my husband and the love of my life. And dating was fun. And the reason dating was so fun was because I had been dating and loving myself up until that moment. So I wasn't needing to attract my soulmate. I desired it. It's very, very different. I was so full of myself, so full on Lucy's love for Lucy and celebrating Lucy, that it wasn't coming from this imbalanced place. It was just like, hey, I'm living my best life right now. Want to come join? And already, I mean, I remember even saying to my husband, you know, this is what I'm out to create. And I was like, if he's not up for it, next. I'm not sitting here like making him be the one. He's bloody lucky if he gets to go on a second date with me. And he did. And then he went on another date. And now we have a beautiful baby girl, and, you know, we're living our best life. But the process of dating with him was really, really fun. It was butterflies. It was me being in my feminine, not trying to control it, not being attached. And that's how it should feel. So if you want to get back to, or not back to, but if that's the place you want to move into, where you're so in love with who you are, and we're not taught to love ourselves. And for some of you, you might be like, oh my God, this girl's so full of herself. Yes, I am. Because until you're full up on your own love for yourself, there's no way you could receive it. That's why if guys have said to you in the past, I love you, you're like, whoa, 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 what do you mean you love me? Why do you love me? You can't receive it. It's scary. It's almost like that's the thing you've been saying you want, but then when it happens, it's like, whoop, better get into some sabotage now because this doesn't feel safe. So I'm sending you so much love, and I'm ready. My team and I are here ready to, you know, reach our hands out to hold the space for you, to support you, to come home to the magnificence of who you are, Divine One, because you are really fucking special. You have so much going for you, and it is not too late to meet your soulmate. You exist, which means he exists or she exists, whatever you're into. And the only thing that's in the way of you right now having that relationship is your beliefs, and you're not dealing with your wounds. You're not dealing with your trauma. You're not dealing with your past hurts. You're just putting some icing on top of this really shitty cake right now, and it's not going to fly. You've got to be willing to actually address the fears that you have, the beliefs that you have, and to integrate what it feels like to be wearing and living and breathing your self-worth. Self-worth is not an idea. It's not something that you can show. I've seen people try and show that they've got self-worth, and it's so icky. You just like want to run a mile. You can't fake self-worth. It's either oozing from you and you're relaxed and you're in grace and you're in flow, or you are pushing and working really bloody hard to show that you're enough. And that right there will show you that you're out of alignment. You don't have to try hard when you're in alignment, because you're in connection with the divine and you're aligned with your own greatness and your own heart space. And that's the only place that you want to date from. It should feel really, really fun. And also it requires you having a really epic mindset. And that's also what the majority of my program is about. Whether you think you've got mindset in the bag, don't shoot yourself in the foot by saying you've done all the work, because you haven't. If you haven't attracted your soulmate and you've done all the mindset work, then you haven't integrated it. It's not, you haven't finished. So stay curious, stay open, and don't underestimate how powerful you are. Literally, you can attract in whatever you desire, but you've got to be a vibrational match for that. And in order to be a vibrational match, you've got to do the work to clear out all the thorns that you've created that are blocking you. And the thorns, like I said, they're beliefs, their fears, their traumas, they're the stories that you're keeping yourself in that are keeping you safe and really small. And you've got to be willing to betray those and to birth into existence a brand new fucking high vibrational lit story to live into and build that new muscle, that new vibrational muscle, which happens via the up level with a new mindset. And my team and I are here to support you because you deserve the very best. And honestly, now is the time to rise. More than ever, we are being called with every fiber of our being to rise and to take up space and to be the unapologetic version of ourselves. That is how collectively as a planet we're going to rise. So don't underestimate your part in that. It's a lot more than just attracting in your soulmate. It's about learning how to be your own soulmate first with unconditional self-love and acceptance instead of bullying yourself, speaking negatively, putting pressure on yourself, putting expectations on yourself, putting yourself down, rejecting yourself, abandoning yourself. Don't underestimate you might have big abandonment issues, but you've also abandoned yourself a long time ago. So there is a lot on the line for every moment that you're not actually doing something about this. Your fertility, your life force is suffering, your health, money. It costs a lot more when we're on our own, right, with bills and everything, than it does to actually have someone to share that with you. And experiences. It's costing you beautiful experiences that you get to share with someone else. Okay? So it's time to put yourself first. It's time to get back to the joy of being you so that then you can go in and fucking what's the word? You can just fucking dominate and own the dating space and just get in there and be like, oh my God, the guys will be like, where the hell have you been? That's where you want to be, where you're just so madly, deeply head over heels in love with you that your king is just going to snap you up, baby. He's going to want to put a ring on it, and he is going to want to put a ring on it. Whoa, oh. So that is a wrap. I'm sending you highest blessings, so much love. You deserve to be loved. You are amazing. And having a soulmate relationship is your birthright, and it is also an inside job. So get cracking, my friends. Mwah.